was so much better. Thank you. Good morning and welcome. I'm Reverend Dr. Deborah W. Hafner, one of the senior co-ministers, along with my partner, the Reverend Joel Miller, here at the First Unitarian Universalist Society in Newton. We are so happy to welcome you today. And I want to just say, as someone who has recently moved in the last few years to Boston, I am so impressed that you are all here on this snow day. We are happy to welcome the Newton community and the many dignitaries who are with us into our historic 1906 building as we gather to celebrate the legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and to recommit ourselves to his vision. Fusen was founded more than 177 years ago by transcendentalist leaders and active abolitionists, including the great educators Horace Mann and Nathaniel Allen. From our earliest days, this congregation has sought to live into the values that Dr. King called the beloved community, placing love at the center of all we do. Our mission is to deepen our connections, to grow people's spirituality, and to work together to build a more just world. We gathered here 1 year ago on the same day as the inauguration of the current president. As fearful as many of us were that day, could we have imagined the last year? With Minnesota occupied, masked, untrained federal vigilantes kidnapping people on our streets, Venezuela under US control, and the NATO alliance being threatened by the United States. We can surely, though, imagine what Dr. King might be saying about what is happening in our country today. Surely he would be deeply distressed and beyond disappointed. But having faced men with clubs at the end of the Selma Bridge and watched children hosed and beaten in Montgomery, do you think he would have been surprised? If Dr. King were alive today, we know he would be organizing and protesting and advocating for democracy and for the most marginalized. He would be urging us to resist white supremacy, racism, sexism, militarism, anti-immigration policies, and attacks on our neighbors. He would be calling us to lean into and practice the discipline of nonviolence and to remember, as hard as it is, to love our enemies and resist their evil acts. Dr. King would surely be urging you to join a local faith community and that we need to work together across our differences. He would implore us to create Newton as a beloved community where injustice ceases and love prevails. He would remind us that it is only in community with one another that freedom and justice is secured for all of us. I can think of no place I would rather be this morning than in community with you, honoring the legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Thank you to each of you for joining us this morning. May the connections we make here strengthen us for the days and the weeks and the months and the years ahead. Now it's my privilege to introduce you to the Reverend Joel Miller.
Good morning. The people of the First Unitarian Universalist Society of Newton, with gratitude, acknowledge that Newton, Massachusetts is on the traditional homelands of the Eastern Woodland indigenous peoples. The indigenous nations that belong to this land are known as the Aquinnah Wampanoag, Mashpee Wampanoag, Herring Pond Wampanoag, Stockbridge Munsee, Nipmuc tribe, and all Massachusetts tribes. At Fusen, as we call it, we recognize and respect the privilege to be living on these lands. We acknowledge the trauma experienced over centuries by these indigenous peoples who've lived on these lands and who continue to face injustice. We honor with gratitude those peoples who have stewarded this land through the generations and their ongoing contributions to our land. We also acknowledge that these lands are sacred to generations yet to be born. We will continue to create and build healthy relations with the indigenous peoples of these lands. We thank all indigenous peoples. And I'm now honored to introduce you to the Master of Ceremonies for this morning, the Reverend Devlin Scott, lead pastor at New City Church and board member of the Harmony Foundation.
There's a stool here for those who are height challenged, and I'm not one of them, so I needed to my friend Deb Hafner. Guys, it's a great morning. I know it's snowy outside, and I know that there's a lot going on in the world, but I happen to believe that joy is resistance. And so why don't you stand to your feet for a moment and give somebody a hug and say, Happy MLK Day. Good day. It's a great day. It's beautiful that we're all here. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. You can have a seat. I welcome you once again to the 58th annual City Celebration and Commemoration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It is an honor and a privilege to be here with you today as we gather to remember and reflect on the life and legacy of a man whose impact on the world continues to inspire us today. My name is Reverend Devlin Scott. I am the pastor of New City Church. We meet in Newton Highlands, and I'm a Harmony board member, which is one of the organizations that put on this incredible event, and I am your Masters of Ceremony for this morning. I'd like to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude to Reverend Joel Miller and Reverend Deborah Hafner, pastors here at First Unitarian Universalist, there's the word, Society of Newton, for their warm welcome, for opening their doors to us today. So let's give them a round of applause. I'd also like to acknowledge our planning committee and our program participants. If you have been working with us for the last months in preparation for today, and if you are part of this program, why don't you stand and let us acknowledge you right now, all one together, one at the same time. I'm sure that there will be an opportunity for this to be done in a more direct manner, but I want to thank all of our elected officials across Newton and our state representatives who are joining us today. If you would please stand and let us thank you for joining us as well. And as we begin this meaningful celebration, I invite you to join us in standing in the honor as we honor the roots of our struggle for justice and equality with the Black National Anthem. Lift every voice and sing. This anthem holds deep significance for our community and our ongoing work towards freedom and dignity for all, leading us with several members of the clergy, our planning committee, our event participants, including our student soloist, Anna Tacky. We will all be accompanied by Ms. Lania Bardison on piano. And the lyrics for Lift Every Voice and Sing are included in your program. So let us lift up our voices and let us literally sing in song and unity. And please stand with us if you are able.
With the harmonies of
Thank you all so much. Yes, we can clap for that. Thank you for that beautiful rendition of Lift Their Voice and Sing. Your voices have set the tone for this special, special service. And we are deeply grateful for your contribution. And we thank all of you in our congregation for helping us begin this service with such unity and reverence. It is now my honor to introduce a dear colleague and friend, Reverend Cheryl Kerr. She's the senior minister of the United Parish of Auburndale and the co-leader of the Newton Interfaith Leadership Association, or NILA. NILA is a network of spiritual leaders committed to supporting the city of Newton. And as active engaged chaplains, we work to be the conscience of the city, bringing together our communities for justice, compassion, and peace. Reverend Kerr's leadership has been instrumental in fostering interfaith dialogue and strengthening our collective commitment to make our city a place of care, inclusivity, and hope. Please join me in welcoming Reverend Cheryl Kerr.
Good morning and blessings to the city of Newton on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day of remembrance and recommitment to equity. I'm honored and humbled to be here representing your Newton Interfaith leadership. As faith leaders, we have known the truth in Reverend King's mission of love over violence and hope over fear. Every one of our faith traditions includes an imperative of love that builds justice and peace through equity of creation, and particularly humanity. In a 1967 lecture opposing war, King declared, "When I speak of love, I am not speaking of some sentimental and weak response. I'm speaking of that force which all of the great religions have seen as the supreme unifying principle of life. Love is somehow the key that unlocks the door which leads us to the ultimate reality." This love that the Reverend Dr. King preached is one we can remember today, and especially today. Just yesterday, I spoke to my own congregation about the importance of each individual one of us, but maybe more so than that, the importance of all of us together. As Newton Interfaith Leadership representation, this is who we are and why we are. And I'd like to even say this is why we are here today. As important as each of our individual faith is, more important than that is how we can all come together, believing in the power of this love we share as one body and so many different parts, to go up against violence, to stand up against hate, to win the justice that we so truly seek. Friends, again, I cannot say enough, I'm honored to be here. This is an incredibly important day. The time is urgent, that we know how valuable these gatherings can be. And so thank you for being here, and thank you for inviting us as Newton clergy as well.
Thank you, Reverend Cheryl Kerr, for your powerful words and for your ongoing leadership of NILA, Newton Interfaith Leadership Association. I'm really grateful personally for your contribution to it all, and thank you for being here with us this morning. We are truly blessed to have people like Pastor and Reverend Cheryl Kerr with us, and we're also blessed to have an incredible team of people who are a part of making this event happen. At this time, I would like to invite the Harmony Board to come up here. They are my counterparts, my partners in crime, I call them. And it's our opportunity to offer a few remarks and reflection. Each of us will share a quotation from a verse that reflects why we are inspired to be a part of the Harmony Foundation and this annual celebration of the legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
There's a small part of a much larger quote by King that says, "Power without love is reckless and abusive." In Minnesota and across the national stage, we are seeing this play out in grotesque and incomprehensible ways. I'm so proud that with the Harmony Foundation, we reject such notions. Instead, we lift up the beauty of our different races, ethnicities, and our religions.
Good morning. Welcome and thank you for joining us at the Harmony Foundation's 58th Annual Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration. My name is Renando Aisa, and I am honored to stand in front of you today as a member of the Board of Directors for this wonderful organization. This morning I wanted to share with you an excerpt from a poem written by the great poet Amanda Gorman. Amanda wrote this poem for another poet, Renee Good. When the labor and bitter anger of our neighbors is moved by the love and better angels of our nature, what they call death and void, we know is breath and voice. In the end, gorgeously endures our enormity. I share these words with you today because the name Renee derives from French roots and means to be born. And actually, that's also the root of my name, Renan. And as Amanda talks about breath and voice, those to me symbolize signs of a successful birth. And I personally believe that's what we need to do right now. I believe we need to give birth to love, birth to kindness, birth to compassion, and birth to human decency. We need to be intentional about caring for one another and helping one another when it is possible for us to do so. And when, and only when, we've taken the time to take care of ourselves. Because collectively, directly or indirectly, consciously or unconsciously, we are all impacted by the cruelty. And this is felt most profoundly in our immigrant communities and by our brothers and sisters. I firmly believe if all of us, in big ways and small ways and medium ways, live out the mission of the Harmony Foundation, and as exemplified by my colleagues on the board, which is to foster understanding and respect across racial, ethnic, and religious identities, I know we will all be better for it. Thank you again for coming. Drive safely and be well.
The Harmony Foundation name is a contraction, actually, of our full legal title, but it does focus on the word harmony, which is a complicated idea, which we discuss often, but I thought it would be useful to look back at what Dr. King said about harmony. And in a book, Strength to Love, a 1963 book of a collection of his homilies, here's what he said. The strong person holds in a living blend strongly marked opposites. The idealists are not usually realistic, and the realists are not usually idealistic. The militant are not generally known to be passive, nor the passive to be militant. Seldom are the humble self-assertive, or the self-assertive humble. But life at its best is a creative synthesis of opposites in fruitful harmony.
Thank you all for being here today. I'm going to quote the late Jane Goodall from the Book of Hope, a survival guide for trying times, which she co-authored in 2021. Hope is often misunderstood. People tend to think that it is simply passive, wishful thinking. I hope something will happen, but I'm not going to do anything about it. This is indeed the opposite of real hope, which requires action and engagement. Only if we can understand can we care. Only if we care will we help. Only if we help shall all be saved.
There's a quote by Dr. King, one that a lot of preachers use. It says, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. These words resonate deeply in a season like this when many of us, including myself, are just tired. These are hard times, socially, politically, spiritually. The work of justice can feel heavy. The divisions can feel sharper. The temptations to disengage can feel real. And yet, Dr. King reminds us that faithfulness doesn't require constant strength. It requires persistence. Even when we are exhausted, discouraged, or moving slower than we'd like, we must keep moving forward. That perseverance takes many forms. It means continuing to fight for justice and equity for all. It means tending to our own care and healing so that we can stay in the struggle for the long haul. It means committing to the ongoing work of learning, doing the inner work, confronting our own bias, understanding our privilege, and growing in what it truly means to love our neighbor as ourselves. This is why Harmony, this board's work, matters so deeply to me. Harmony creates the kind of space where weary people can be honest, where growth is nurtured, and where forward movement, however slow, is still celebrated. In a living expression of Dr. King's legacy, this group helps us to understand that helping to keep moving forward towards justice, to keep moving forward towards wholeness, to keep moving forward towards what Dr. King called beloved community, even when the road is long and the times are hard. So to all of you here, I say, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. And if you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. Thank you. It is now my honor to pass the microphone over to the Mayor of Newton, Mayor Mark Laredo. Mayor Laredo is a lifelong Newton resident with decades of public service to the city. He's an attorney by training. He previously served as the Newton City Council, including as the council president. He also was on the school committee. His leadership is shaped by a deep love for Newton and a commitment to strong public schools and a belief in practical and community-centered governance. Please help me welcome our newly elected mayor, Mayor Mark Laredo.
Nearly 53 years ago, on a warm August afternoon, Reverend Martin Luther King ascended the marble steps of the Lincoln Memorial and addressed a crowd of approximately, quote, 250,000 people stretched across the mall. Black and white, young and old, rich and poor, assembled from across our country. His words that day spoke profoundly of his vision of a better United States, and his iconic refrain, "I have a dream," has resonated throughout generations. On this day of reflection, when we celebrate the life and legacy of this remarkable man, I am inspired by those dreams, while knowing that many are still unrealized and we have so much more to do. This is a time of great unrest in our country. People are being labeled and detained based on the color of their skin, the language they speak, the work they do, the place where they were born. People are being targeted because of the person they choose to love or the God they choose or choose not to worship. People are being ridiculed because of their disability, gender, age, sexuality, and appearance. As I said in my inaugural address on January 1st, Newton must be different. And let me repeat that once again. Newton must be different. Here in the Garden City, we will embrace every person. We will rise above the fray. We will be a beacon of light and hope. As your mayor and the proud son of immigrants, I have a deep love of this country, and I am proud to call myself an American. But I say that knowing our country's cruel history. A history where we drove indigenous peoples from their lands. We purchased black people as slaves. We exploited Chinese laborers to build our railroads. We discriminated against Italian and Irish immigrants. We engaged in acts of anti-Semitism. We forced Japanese Americans into internment camps. We banned people from predominantly Muslim countries, and we restricted immigration from India and Pakistan. And I say that knowing that as I speak this morning, masked ICE agents are using cruelty and terror to blur the lines of democracy on the streets of Minneapolis and across our country. But I also say that knowing that this nation, this Commonwealth, and this city are built in the belief that our differences make us stronger. I say that knowing that we can, indeed, we must celebrate our diversity while forging our shared bonds as Americans. I say that knowing that this melting pot that we call the United States of America must continue to welcome others and preserve and protect the freedoms of speech, of religion, of the press, that allows each one of us to continue to cherish our individual cultures and traditions. And I say that knowing that people from all across the world have been and will continue to be, and let me say that again, will continue to be welcome right here in Newton as they make our 13 villages their home. Dr. King wrote remarkably prescient words in a letter from the Birmingham jail in April 1963, and I quote, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." Today, I say with conviction as I hear the echo of Dr. King's words that we can and we must do better. Let me be clear. The path ahead is not easy. And if we leave this house of worship today having simply checked off a box until we meet again next January, the dream will remain a haunting echo. Instead, together, we must leave today committed to building a more inclusive, stronger, more welcoming, and more equitable Newton. So when we return again next year, we can say that we have done better. As I stand on this stage and see my fellow elected officials, our Newton Public Schools leaders and teachers and students, the organizers of this event, Hattie Kerwin Derrick from my office and the Harmony Foundation. Let's give them a round of applause, please. and so many members of our community. I know that we have the talent, we have the passion, and we have the commitment to get this work done. Together, we will create a city where every person has equal access and opportunity to housing, to jobs, to services. Together will we ensure that every student, and I mean every student, regardless of their abilities, their background, the language they speak, how they identify, the color of their skin, or whether they arrived last week or come from a family that has been here from generations, has the same chance to reach their full potential. Together, we are going to stand up for our neighbor who is ridiculed, labeled, or targeted. We are together going to speak up against hateful words and rhetoric. Together, we will ensure that the different threads that make up the fabric of our community are represented on our appointed boards and commissions that set policies in this city. Together, we are going to make sure that everyone's voice is heard, not just those with the loudest megaphones. Amen. And together, we are going to fight for equality in the democracy that we love. Dr. King knew that the courage to love can turn the tides of hate. The power is in our hands to create the just community of Dr. King's dream, so that when we gather again together next year, we can say we have done better. Together, let's get to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Laredo. Let me just say we wish you great success in your endeavors and your role, and we look forward to partnering with you with the Harmony Foundation to make it better, to do better. Thank you for that. It is now my pleasure, before I introduce the Troubadours, I would like to say at this time we invite families, the families who are signed up for Story Starters, to head out now. Our ushers will be available to help guide you to the right room. Story Starters is a community-based family program that supports parents and caregivers in having meaningful, age-appropriate conversations with young children, typically from the ages of 3 to 8, about race, identity, and justice through children's literature and guided discussion. So if there's any families here who signed up for Story Starters, this is the opportunity now to head to that now. So we say, bye kids, have a good time. Have fun. It's now my pleasure to introduce the Troubadours, a talented youth choir made up of young people from all across Newton and led by Jamie Alvarez and Eric Ritter, and accompanied by Emma Campbell on piano. The Troubadours bring their energy, their passion, and their voices to our celebration today, and they will be performing a song called Good Trouble, written by John Herlihy, and who will be joining the group this morning, which is really exciting to have him with us today. So please welcome the Troubadours and John Herlihy to the stage.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is David Herlihy. My dad was John.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay. He was a great guy, and I feel he's here with us today as well, so that's great. Thank you so much for being here. It's a real privilege. John Lewis coined the term good trouble. He said when he was a peaceful resistor, he said when you see something that's not right, not just, not fair, you get in the way and you cause some good trouble. Abraham Lincoln, in his inaugural address in 1861, conjured the phrase, better angels. And it made me think that angels have wingspan. And you can only do that which was within your wingspan. And so I wrote this song as a call to action to our better angels to do that which we can do. I can't do much about Greenland, but I can write a song. And so each one of us has our wingspan, and each one of us has to decide what you are going to do. We are not alone, and you have power within your wingspan. And so I implore you to seize your personal power and to do that which you can do. Sky is falling faster, no use yelling at the clouds. The boys are in their uniforms, trash talking at the crowds. I'm just a kind soul, living in a cruel town. You better watch your mouth, boy. You better keep your head down. Good trouble, good trouble. Not going down without a fight, without a fight.
Good trouble, necessary trouble. Thank you, Troubadours, and thank you, David Hurley. Appreciate it. Please help me welcome our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Anna Nolan, and our student speakers for today, whose insights and wisdom are uniquely valuable and cherished. Dr. Nolan will introduce our student speakers and then share remarks at the conclusion of their reflections. Please help me welcome them to the stage.
Hello, I'm one of those people that needs the box to step on. Hi, welcome. Thank you so much to the Harmony Foundation and all our sponsors and hosts and our MC, Reverend Devlin. I'm so honored to be with you at this event. And thanks to teachers Ritter and Albert and the Troubadours and Mr. Herlihy for your music and leadership as well. Today, our community is honored to hear directly from the young people of the Newton Public Schools. Their voices remind us that Dr. King's legacy is not frozen in history. In fact, it is alive in classrooms, in rehearsal spaces, on athletic fields, student organizations, and in the daily choices made by our students. On my ride in this morning, NPR was running a series of interviews with a 30-something MLK and a young reporter. And he was explaining his racial consciousness arriving at about 5 years old when he felt racism for the first time. And the interviewer asked, how did your mother explain racism and how did you handle it with your young self? And he said that she instilled a sense of unwavering somebodyness in him. And today, it is my privilege to introduce to you students from the Newton Public Schools whose somebodyness is here in their voices today. So first, Adriana Goncalves from Newton South High School is a 9th grader at Newton South. She's a member of the speech and debate team and the METCO program. She is also a gifted musician, a pianist who is currently teaching herself how to play the violin. Adriana brings both analytical thinking and creative expression to her work, and today she challenges us to think deeply about what it truly means to move from words to action. Adriana?
They say love conquers hate, but what does that really mean? You expect me to believe that this confusing concept of love can solve all the world's problems? Everyone has a different idea of what love means. The phrase is too broad, but it boils down to a simple concept. Good will overcome the bad. Kindness will persevere and accomplish what hate can't. Some will say that hate is what drives us. Hate is what motivates us to innovate. In theory, sure, go with that. But when you step into reality, realize this. What has hate got you that simple words and actions can't? Hate failing and good prevailing are often involved in movements to overcome oppression, like the civil rights movement, and individuals turning personal setbacks into triumphs like Ruby Bridges and Barack Obama. Communities uniting and shows that resilience, collective action, and embracing failure as learning fuel can dismantle hateful ideologies and build better futures, demonstrating hope over despair. What I believe this phrase really means for the modern world is that positive actions combat and overcome the negativity in our world. If you look at our world, you'll see many violent, hate-driven attacks and actions. Simply saying you're worth a cause, simply saying you love or stand with the victims isn't going to help. Showing you care will. Showing your support and actively participating in things to combat the mass amount of hate and violence will. In times like these, meaningless words just aren't enough. Words don't have power unless you give them power. Your name means nothing if you don't respond to it. Your words and promises are truly meaningless if you do nothing to fulfill them. The brain prefers less mental effort. Bad habits and instant gratification often require less self-control and immediate energy than virtuous actions, making them the easier default. We drift towards the often worse and easier actions. It's easier to dirty your room than to clean it. But does that mean you shouldn't clean your room? No. Does that mean we should sit back and allow hate to drive our every action? No. We need to stand up and come together and combat the mass amount of hate and tragedies in our world. Hate may be easy, but it is weak. If we want love to conquer, we must be brave enough to act. Thank you.
Wonderful job, Brianna. Next, I'd like to introduce to you Cora Neat Harris. She is a senior at Newton South High School, a member of the South Dance Team, the METCO program, and the vice president of the Black Student Union. This fall, Cora will attend Howard University, a historically black college and university, where she plans to study pre-law. Cora's leadership reflects courage, integrity, and a powerful commitment to using her voice to create change. Cora?
Good morning. On this Martin Luther King Jr. Day, I stand before you filled with gratitude, reflection, and anticipation. I am honored to share that I have been accepted to one of the most selective HBCUs, Howard University, and will be attending this September. This milestone reflects not just an academic accomplishment, but also the ongoing expression of values shaped by my experience. Before this next chapter, I grew up and attended a predominantly white institution that played a significant role in shaping who I am today. For 4 years, I was a member of my school's dance team, an experience I deeply loved, but one that also exposed me to what it feels like to exist in spaces where diversity is limited. Out of more than 20 dancers, only 2 others looked like me. Without ever saying it aloud, we shared an understanding of what it meant to navigate that space and to work twice as hard to be seen and taken seriously. During my senior year, I encountered a moment that forever changed my understanding of leadership. After weeks of preparation for our first high school football game halftime performance, I noticed that the 3 black girls on the team had all been placed in the back line of the formation. While I recognized that experience levels varied, that pattern felt too specific to ignore. That night, I wrestled with fear and doubt. I asked myself questions many of us have asked before. What if I'm misunderstood? What if I'm labeled as difficult? What if I'm misunderstood and speaking up makes things worse? But I knew that staying silent would weigh heavier than the discomfort of using my voice at all. I believe that advocacy is not only for ourselves, but for those who may not feel empowered to speak enough at all. Before our first game, I spoke with my head coach. I shared how the formation appeared and how it made me feel. Honestly, respectfully, and with courage. To my surprise, she listened. What followed was real change, not just in formations, but in communication, awareness, and consideration of everyone else's experiences. That moment taught me that leadership does not require a title. It requires bravery. That lesson has guided me as I look toward the future. Howard University represents everything I hope to grow into. Its commitment to leadership, self-advocacy, and its community empowerment aligns deeply with the values I've developed through experiences just like this one. I'm eager to step into a space where my voice is valued, where my experiences are understood, and where I am challenged to become my best self. On this Martin Luther King Jr. Day, I am reminded that Dr. King's legacy lives on in everyday acts of courage, in classrooms, on teams, and in moments when we choose to speak up instead of staying silent. As I embark on this new chapter of my life, I carry that legacy with me, committed to using my voice with integrity and leading with purpose. Thank you.
Next, I would like to introduce to you Isaac Barbosa, a 9th grade MECO student at Newton North High School. He is proud of his Cape Verdean heritage and is an active participant in Newton North's culinary, career, and technical education program. Isaac reminds us that learning happens not only through books and speeches, but through relationships, understanding, and shared human experience.
What I love about the MLK speech is how inspirational it is. Dr. King doesn't start with big metaphors. He starts with the simple truth about why people don't get along. He says we hate each other because we are afraid. We are afraid because we don't know each other. We don't know each other because we do not talk. We stay separated. But Dr. King warns us that being quote-unquote lukewarm is not enough. It's easy to watch something on the news and say, that's terrible. But it's much harder to look at our schools or neighborhoods and ask, who's being left out? Dr. King was very direct with churches. He said it was shameful that Sunday morning is often the most segregated hour of the week. He challenged people to move past what he called the high blood pressure of the creeds. In other words, just talking about beliefs. He wanted people to focus on deeds and real actions. He believed our actions should have blood on them. He also changed the way we think about love. He said he was not talking about something weak or overly emotional. He was talking about agape, which means strong and active goodwill. This is not the kind of love you see in movies. It's the kind of love that shows up when it's uncomfortable, when it's having the courage to stand up for someone's dignity, even when you don't agree with them or even like them. Dr. King's message is still a challenge today. He tells us to stop being observers when he says that, quote unquote, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. He means that when someone in our community is treated unfairly, it affects us all. So as we leave today, let us have the courage to cross the line that separates us, and let's actually talk to one another and make sure that in our lives, love always gets the last word. Thank you.
It is finally my pleasure to introduce you to David Whittier, an 11th grade student at Newton North High School and a member of the football and track and field teams. David brings thoughtfulness, courage, and honesty to today's conversation as he asks us to confront uncomfortable truths and challenges us to listen more deeply to one another. David?
Dr. Martin Luther King talked about courage to love as having strength to face uncomfortable truths so that hate and injustice are not ignored. I'm happy to have the opportunity to speak with you all today about white privilege. White privilege is the unearned advantages, benefits, or rights that white individuals experience in societies where racial inequality exists. These advantages are systemic, meaning that they're built into society and not just about individual actions. Today I will be discussing 4 aspects of white privilege that I feel stand out. The first aspect being systemic advantages. This means that white individuals are less likely to face discrimination in areas like education, employment, and interactions with law enforcement, compared to people of color. One example comes from the Yes magazine. In the 1999 case of a man named Amadou Diallo, a 23-year-old black man who was unarmed and had no criminal record. He was fired at 41 times and shot 19 and killed by police officers. This is a tragic example of how unequal systems can lead to deadly outcomes for people of color. The second being presumption of innocence. White individuals are less likely to be stereotyped or assumed guilty based on their race. This often shows up in media. In the Yes magazine, 2 people who committed the same crime were reported on the same day by the same reporter. The white individual was humanized, while the person of color was shown as negative or downplayed. This shows how differently white people and people of color are often treated in media. Third aspect being cultural normativity. This means that white culture is often treated as normal culture, while people of color's culture is seen as different. For example, Independence Day was a federal holiday since 1870, while Juneteenth, which celebrates the end of slavery and is important to Black history, did not become a federal holiday until 2021. The last and final is freedom from racial stress. While white people do not usually have to think about their race or skin color and how it might affect safety or daily experiences, I think of it like running a race. White privilege is starting further ahead because of history, while others start further back and face obstacles like discrimination. One way we can begin to challenge this is by listening to people when they share their experiences. It is important not to take over a conversation or question their experiences, but try to listen and really understand. One organization that does this that's close is SURJ Boston, which organizes white people to stand up for racial and economic justice. By choosing to listen and have the courage to love, like Dr. King taught, we can begin to turn the tides of hate and move closer to real change.
I would just like to acknowledge my colleagues, Blaine Lobes, Katani Sumner, and Kate Carpenter-Bernier, who helped support these students while they did this work. As we gather for this 58th celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., it is under a powerful theme that we do so. The courage to love turns the tide of hate. And Dr. King taught us that love is not passive, it is not polite, and it is not silent. He spoke of agape, the strong, spiritual, and choice-driven love, a demanding, action-oriented love that can only be coupled with courage. And today, our students have shown us exactly what that kind of love should look like. You heard Adriana challenge us to move beyond statements and slogans. She reminded us that words only matter when we give them power through action. Yeah. That choosing love is not the easy path. Hate is easy, indifference is easy, but love, real love, requires total bravery. It requires to act even when it is uncomfortable. And you heard Cora describe a moment that many students experience, but few have the courage to name: the fear of speaking up, the worry of being misunderstood, and the risk that comes with advocating for fairness. And yet, she chose that courage anyway. Her story reminds us that leadership does not come from the title that you bear. It comes from integrity, voice, and the willingness to say, this is not right and we can do better. You heard Isaac reflect on Dr. King's insistence that being lukewarm is not enough. That is not enough to feel sympathy from a distance. Dr. King challenges us to cross lines, to talk to one another, to replace separation with conversation and connection. And Isaac reminds us that love shows up in our deeds, in who we include, who we listen to, and who we refuse to leave behind. And finally, you heard David ask us to confront truths that are difficult but necessary. He spoke about systems, about privilege, and about the responsibility we all share to listen deeply when others tell us their stories. He reminded us that courage to love means the courage to learn, and then the courage to change. Yeah. Together, these students show us that Dr. King's dream is not an abstract. It lives in classrooms, in dance teams, and football fields, in our student clubs, career programs, and courageous conversations among students. It lives in them, and we must listen to them. Their words also connect us powerfully to Newton's history.
In his I Have a Dream speech, Dr. King drew upon the lyrics, "My Country 'Tis of Thee," written by Newtonian Samuel Francis Smith, ending with the call to let freedom ring. But King has made clear that freedom does not ring on its own. It rings when people act, when young people speak, and when communities choose courage over comfort. These students represent the very best of Newton Public Schools. They embody our portrait of a learner as young people who are courageous communicators, ethical and empathetic leaders, thoughtful, reflective thinkers, and engaged citizens of our Newton community. They remind us that the work of our school system is not just about academic skills, but to develop human beings who know how to love boldly and speak honestly and lead with purpose. And on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day, I hope we follow their example. May you choose action over apathy. May you choose courage over silence. And may we ensure together that love always gets the last word. Thank you.
Can you stand to your feet and help me thank our students? Such good words. I'd also like to thank Dr. Nolan for being here with us, and for those 4 students for sharing their commentary and their illuminating insights. So grateful for it. At this time, we're going to have a solo by Anna Tacky. Anna Tacky is a senior at Newton North High School and is proud to be a Metco student. Anna is the president of the NNHS Christian Club, a volunteer Sunday school teacher, a Dover Legacy Scholar, and a team facilitator alum in the I Am Amazing program. Next year, she is enrolled in Caltech. Yes. With a full scholarship through Quest Bridge. Anna enjoys singing and dancing and reading and using her creativity to bring joy to others. So here to bring joy to us, please welcome Anna Tacky.
It's better to be lowly, along with the oppressed. Whatever's in our hearts, our lives will reflect. Help us to be planted in you, Lord. Let love lead, no matter how long the road. Let love lead, even when it's not Let love lead,
us. The words of the song truly resonate with us today as a time when unity and support are crucial. And these words remind us of the power of community and the importance of each and every person on a shared journey. Anna, you have reminded us of that truth. Thank you again. Thank you. It is now my great honor and distinct privilege to introduce our speaker for the morning, Reverend Dr. Eric Jackson. Yes. Dr. Jackson is the minister of Elliott Church in Newton, called there in November of 2024. He's a pastor, preacher, and teacher, and he brings over 17 years of ministry experience across New England and New York. With a deep commitment to meeting people where they are on their spiritual journey, he is known for creating space for honest questions, meaningful worship, and life-giving faith, especially for those deconstructing harmful theology and seeking something more authentic. Dr. Jackson holds a doctorate of ministry and is pursuing a PhD in African American preaching and sacred rhetoric. Overachiever, right? And he serves as a significant leader in roles within the United Church of Christ and the wider community, particularly around justice, formation, and spiritual leadership. Please join me in welcoming my friend, the Reverend Dr. Eric Jackson.
Well, I give thanks to my dear brother for such an introduction. He set the bar higher than what I could ever have imagined. I give deep gratitude to the Harmony Foundation for this invitation to be part of this celebration, to celebrate the life and legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a foundation that strives to live into that legacy year-round. And this program is the capstone, and indeed I say to the Harmony Foundation, well done. I also give thanks for my church family that is here today, the Elliott Church of Newton, United Church of Christ, that's waving their hands. I give thanks for their support and their presence here today. And indeed, they truly live into their mission to be a congregation that builds community, grows faith, and lives love. And I also give thanks for the Newton Interfaith Leadership Association that was so excellently represented by my colleague, the Reverend Cheryl Karen. Thank you so much. And I offer thanks for my colleagues, Reverend Joel and Reverend Deborah, who represent the First Unitarian Universalist Society of Newton. I thank them for their hospitality, warm welcome, and their excellent job of hosting this gathering each year. Thank you. And I certainly cannot let these preliminary remarks finish without acknowledging the presence of our outstanding mayor, Mark Laredo, along with our other elected officials, city leaders, the students, and all of today's program participants who have helped to shape this observance. Thank you. It is truly a gift to stand in this room with you today. So I want to turn back the hands of time to a moment in my life that very few people know about. It was the night of my middle school prom. I showered, I got dressed, I showed up, and did what a lot of us do when we are not sure of what to do. I found a place on the wall and stood against it and leaned on it. And through the night, the room was buzzing, the music was going. People moved in and out of the center. Some were on the floor and some were hanging on the edges. But Eric stayed on that wall until the school security guard walked over to me. And I assumed that I was in trouble because he looked at me with some menacing eyes. And then he got face to face with me and he leaned in and said, "I haven't seen you dance all night." He did not try to give me a lecture or shame me, but he offered me a different way of seeing what was happening. He said, if someone tells you no and they don't want to dance with you, that's okay. You are one step closer to finding the person that will dance with you. And that line changed my thinking that whole night. He said, this is your only middle school prom, and this is the last dance. And even if you dance by yourself, it's okay, but you cannot sit this one out. And what I want to talk about this morning is simply this phrase, you can't sit this one out.
Come on, that's good.
Let me tell you what happened on the rest of that night. He went one by one to other students and spoke to them. And before you knew it, everyone was on the dance floor that night. And what changed that night was not skill or confidence. What changed was expectation. That in order to make the night sing, participation was required, and none of us could sit this one out. And this scene matters right now because of the music of our time that is currently playing. Especially on a day where we come together to honor the life and legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a leader who refused the safety of the sidelines and stepped onto the dance floor knowing it would cost him his very life. And the song we are hearing right now is nothing new. Yes, we are watching federal agents assassinate folks like Renee Good in Minnesota. Yes, we are watching bombs fall on Nigeria and other marginalized nations. Yes, we are watching Venezuela under pressure. Yes, we are watching Greenland being talked about like it's a prize to be won at the state fair. Tearing up civil rights gains from the civil rights movement and trying to turn back the hands of time. None of this needs a long think piece anymore or hot takes, but it needs a response. Yes. For on the other hand, we cannot be so stifled by what we know as analysis paralysis. We have seen this song and dance before. When we look at America right now, it's easy for us to be cocooned by that paralysis analysis when we say that everything is getting worse. People who have fought in this room for years can feel like all of the work that we did was a giant failure. As if this is how the story ends, and as if the ugliness will have the last word. But I tell you today, the work that came before you was never meant to be the finish line. It was meant to push things forward. And what we see now is nothing brand new. There is nothing new under the sun. Really, what we are seeing is what's been under the surface all along. Because if the work is ever going to be complete, what is underneath has to come out. You cannot heal what you cannot name. You cannot confront what it is until you know what is in front of you. And over Christmas, I learned that in a small, personal way. Take a look at my thumb. Look at it. It's an ordinary thumb. It looks normal now. But during Christmas time, the Christmas season, it was a mess. It was infected. I had to prepare my grandmother's eulogy, write my Christmas Eve sermon, prayers, lead Sunday services with a thumb that throbbed and had a lovely hint of lime green. And so I went back and forth to medical care, and they kept telling me the same thing over and over again. It has to come to the surface, and then we can do something about it. All we can do is clean it, bandage it, and send you on your way. But finally, it came to the surface, and they were able to pop it and drain it, and then I found relief. So what looked like it was getting worse was actually the path towards it getting better. Good. And what we are facing in this country is just like that. The infection is not hidden, it is swollen, invisible, it hurts, but that does not mean the work failed. Come on. It means we are finally seeing what has to be drained so real healing and real justice can take root. danger of this moment is not that we do not understand what is happening. Here's the real danger, is that we get used to what we're watching. Standing alongside the wall, like I did at that prom, starts to feel like the responsible and safe thing to do. But no longer can we trade movement for analysis. No longer can we dilute action. We want to look at things from both sides. No longer can we say that the issue is too broad. No longer can we trade courage for commentary, because the floor is filling with harm while too many of us are keeping our backs against the wall. Because history says we've seen this song and dance before. Why in Nazi Germany it was ordinary people who learned to live with neighbors disappearing and told themselves that silence was safe. We can sit this one out. Under Jim Crow, segregation, it was not only the hatred that kept the system in place, it was indifference. They said, we can sit this one out. The people who kept their heads down and did not wake up and say, I choose cruelty, but they woke up and said, I can choose to stay out of it, that I could sit this one out. But history has never been able to tell the difference between the two. And so, Dr. King gives us the formula on what we can do. In that speech where he says, the courage to love can turn the tides of hate. Love is the formula. And love for Dr. King is more than just sentimentality for Dr. King. Love is more than just doing good to feel good. Love is more than an adjective, but for Dr. King, love is a verb. Love is the formula. But let us not think that this formula only applies to an African American preacher from the African American Baptist tradition of the Christian faith. No, 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 no. This claim does not belong to just one tradition. You can hear echoes of it whenever human dignity is taken seriously. It always pushes us toward action and not just ideas. Jesus says in the Gospel of Matthew, whatever you do to the least of these, you do unto him. Muhammad says in the Hadith that none of us truly believes until we love for our brother what we love for ourselves. The Buddha teaches in the Dhammapada that hatred does not stop through more hatred. Only a different spirit can break that cycle. The Hebrew scriptures tell us in Leviticus to love our neighbors as ourselves. The Mahabharata sums it up as duty. Do not do to another what would wound you if it were done to you. Confucius says not to impose on others what you yourself do not desire. And guess what? For those of us who are spiritual but not religious, are not sure of what religious tradition we belong to, or say no religion at all, well, guess what? The demand is still there. For writers like Albert Camus says, looking away from injustice itself is a moral failure. And across all of this, the instruction is consistent. Love does not float above the ground. Love does not hover. Love, though, is the fuel that causes us to step up, step in, and get on the dance floor. Love enters in. Love also refuses to lie that justice can be chopped into safe little categories. Love does not settle into a single issue habit. Love defends public education when classrooms are stripped, teachers are exhausted, and children are treated like data instead of lives. Love insists on you clap. Love insists on dignity for unhoused neighbors whose mornings begin with packing everything they own and being told again to disappear. A threat to injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And not just because it sounds good on a poster, but because harm never stays contained. It spreads and teaches, and in time it circles back. And this is where that old truth matters. I am because you are. My safety is tied up in yours. Freedom is collective, and the wall that protects one group today becomes the wall that cages another tomorrow. King understood something, though, that movements often forgot when pressure rises, and this is the good news. He knew justice was not won by brilliance alone, and not sustained by momentum, but it was carried by endurance. Yeah. In one of his clearest statements, he says, "We will wear you down by our capacity to suffer, and one day we will win our freedom, and we will not only win freedom for ourselves, but we will so appeal to your heart and your conscience that we will win you in the process." And this line is not about tactics, it's about stamina. King was not saying strategy does not matter. He was saying strategy cannot carry people through the long haul. He was not dismissing leadership. He was saying leadership fails when it cannot endure. He was not rejecting tools. He was saying tools break when people give up. What moves history is endurance. Endurance is deciding to keep showing up when the cameras are gone. Endurance is staying when the cost gets personal. Endurance is refusing to disappear. Endurance is what carried people through jail cells, lost jobs, broken bodies, long nights, fire hoses, dogs. Long nights when the only thing that felt certain was the call to keep going. And this is why King believed suffering could wear injustice down. Not because suffering is holy, but because injustice relies on our exhaustion. But endurance is what starves it. Endurance is what pulls the mask off. And so when people keep showing up, the lie that oppression is necessary finally can start to crack. Consciences that try not to look are forced to see. And this is how endurance becomes the fuel. It keeps the floor full long enough for the music to change. And history tells us another truth that we need. Ordinary people like you and I have what it takes. Nazi Germany did not shift because one superhero appeared, but it shifted when workers slowed trains and neighbors opened doors in the middle of the night because they couldn't sit this one out. The civil rights movement didn't move on speeches alone, but it moved because drivers ran carpools under threats because they couldn't sit this one out. When students sat down knowing the cost because they couldn't sit this one out. When church members opened their doors again and again because they knew we couldn't sit this one out. The pattern repeats because it works. Participation is what breaks power. People coming together to transform systems towards love does work. Because we love to remember the people who did not sit it out. We name streets after them and build holidays around them. But the uncomfortable truth is that in their own time, most of their neighbors did sit this one out. And so I ask you, in a few decades, when people look back on our time, which group will you fall in? The song is familiar. The steps are recognizable. And the ending is not a mystery. And here in Newton, the work is not abstract. It looks like showing up when neighbors fight to stay housed. It looks like defending schools where every child is treated as fully human. It looks like refusing to let any neighbor of any race, any faith, gender, or income stand alone at the edge of the room. So now, go back with me to that gym. The music is loud. The wall is still there. And the floor is already full. And the feet are already moving, and the next step, Newton, is in front of you. There's only one thing left to do, and that's get on the dance floor and make the harmonies of liberty ring. You cannot sit this one out.
I don't know if I'm allowed to tell this story publicly, but I know I wouldn't do it anyway. When Elliott Church was looking for their next pastor, I'm a close friend with one of the people who were on the committee, the search committee, and he asked me very astutely, he was saying, what should we be looking for? And I told him, it would be really good if we could just get another black guy. And I am so glad that they picked Dr. Jackson. It is wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Jackson, my friend, for those words. You cannot sit this one out. Inspiring words for us today. And you know what? We want to give you an opportunity to put this into practice, to give it some application. Because what good is you celebrating and clapping and standing if we don't figure out how to apply it and put it into practice? So we're going to do something different this year. We're actually going to give you the opportunity to turn and talk to someone who's near you with this question prompt. If we can't sit it out, if we can't sit this one out, how do we bring more love into this world? Starting with our city. How do we bring more love into the world? So we're going to ask you to do this. Find somebody to have a conversation with for a few minutes. Find somebody you don't know. That'll be preferable. For the introverts, it's okay if you choose somebody you do know. I understand. But find someone and have the conversation with this prompt. If you're not going to sit it out, how are you going to bring more love into this world? As we reflect on Dr. King's legacy and service, we are reminded of the many ways that we can continue his work and make a tangible difference in the world around us. There are practical ways we can all make sure we don't sit this one out. And today, we are providing some of those opportunities about the important work that's being done here in our community. So I would like to invite Tony Lagabo, who is the president of the Harmony Foundation, and Gabe Marie Brown of the Rotary Foundation to join me on stage. Gabriel, yes. Gabe Marie has helped spearhead and ensure the visibility and success of the food drive that she's going to be telling you about in just a moment. So we would like to also thank the Rotary Club for their generous donation that it made to support all 3 of our local food banks. So let's thank the Rotary Foundation. There is a food drive going on, and I'm going to welcome Gabe Marie to give more, to share more about that, and then after that, Tony's going to share a few words as well.
Andy should be up there. Andy, can you give a wave to everybody? Because it was your idea. This is Andy Willinger, past president and our treasurer. And he suggested that we don't sit this one out, to play off of the great words and actually do something. And why would we wait? Which I thought was great at one of our meetings, to donate. So we're doing this as a bit of a challenge, and we have envelopes here today of $1,000 each for each of the food banks that you see in your places. So thank you very much. And the food drive we've extended to go on beyond this. So in your brochure you will see, or in your pamphlets, you'll see a QR code. You can either drop off food to each of the food banks, donate funds, and we're challenging people in this room to organize within your groups and also create funding for donation to the food banks, and again, participate. Food is, doesn't really care what you look like, and food scarcity is real. And in a city like Newton, sometimes it's harder because everybody thinks, oh, Newton's so wealthy, Newton, people don't need food in Newton. And people often will go in the dark to get food for their children because they don't want to be embarrassed and they don't want to walk into the food bank. So please do something. And one thing I will say is Rotary, we actually are also political, non-denominational, but we have peace peace around the world. We have a peace university. And one thing I would like to ask you to do is, what is the one small brave thing you can do today? Because I leave these things feeling energized, and then it's now what? Because I loved the words of inspiration here today, which it doesn't happen when everybody's watching. You won't get a pat in the butt. You might get a kick in the butt, actually, sometimes by doing the right thing. But let's do one brave small thing. And sometimes you don't have to leave your house to do it. For us, we decided to put our money where our mouth was, so to speak. So, and thank you to, on behalf of all my fellow Rotarians, for having us here today. Tony?
Thank you, Gay Marie. I was going to end with this, but I decided I'll begin with it. You haven't had a chance to read the program book through. There are important things in here. Please take it home. In fact, take an extra copy home. Give it to a neighbor. Leave this on the table for your kids to read through. It's important. Take it home. Don't leave it behind. If you've glanced at the inside cover of the program book, that's our letter, the Harmony Foundation's letter. And you note that Harmony Foundation is a shortened form, as I mentioned before, of our formal name, which is the Foundation for Racial, Ethnic, and Religious Harmony. That's a name given to us, in fact, by Ted Mann, the mayor of Newton for 22 years from 1974 to 96, or I'm getting the years wrong, 72 to 94. It was his idea for this foundation to come into existence, and he wrote the first legal papers for it, or he had his staff write the first legal papers for it. Every mayor since has been supportive of the Harmony Foundation in a major way. None with more fervor and fire than the talk that Mayor Laredo gave to us this morning. Thank you, Mayor Laredo. What is harmony? It's a question I asked before. It's not a place where everyone plays the same note, and it's not a place where everyone agrees on everything. Rather, it's a place where everyone strives to interact with each other on the basis of mutual respect and is actively engaged in the effort to learn from each other. For the Harmony Foundation's activity over the past 5 years, we've made small grants of almost $20,000 a year to more than 20 community organizations and activities, many multiple years, and that we've made them, to quote from our mission statement, to facilitate learning, interaction, understanding, and respect across racial, ethnic, and religious dimensions within the Newton community. We can sustain this effort only with the community's support. We ask for and appreciate your help this morning. To those who have already donated through registration, and they're numerous, we express our sincere thanks. To help us this morning, you have options. You can use the QR code that's on the front page of this. This is the QR code to our PayPal account. There's also the card about the food banks for QR code to the food banks that Gay Marie mentioned, or you can. The ushers are going to come forward. They're going to pass the plate, something that is normally done in a church. Pass the plate, and cash is okay. Cash is great, in fact. So if you have cash, use it. If you have a check and you want to write it, that's fine. I have material later, if you come to the community fair, that will show you for those interested, will show you the organizations that we have helped over the past 5 years in their programs along these dimensions. With your help, we can continue to move our community forward toward realizing the vision of Dr. King, and the vision of Mayor Mann, and the vision of every mayor since Mayor Mann. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your participation and generosity. It means a lot. We want to also thank some of our amazing partners, and this is going to be my list of thank yous for the morning, so bear with me. We'd like to thank our sponsoring event sponsor, our main sponsor, the Village Bank, always the Village Bank. We'd also like to thank again Reverend Hafner and Reverend Miller, Ann Bourne, and Linnea Bardison from Fusen. Thank you for your support. Thank you again to our planning committee, which spans all city far and wide, and all of our program participants. We are going to close this morning with the song, We Shall Overcome. And we're going to be, after this, we ask that you join us in our resource fair, which happens through these doors down the hall. I believe there's other ways to get there other than that, but no, there isn't. Through this door and down the hall. Go that way. We also want to thank our incredible partners who catered, Benchmark, Shea Empanada, and Sandwich Works. Coffee and water was provided by the Fusen Beatles, so thank you so much. Your generosity and support makes all of today possible. And to all of you, thank you for being a part of this meaningful day. Your continued commitment to Dr. King's legacy is what fuels the work we must continue to do together. And I'm so glad that all of you decided not to sit this one out and weather through the storm and come here to this celebration. So of course, thank you for allowing me to be your MC again this year. It's been my honor and privilege. So as we close this celebration, I'd like to invite the planning committee members and event participants to come up front. Fusen's choir, come on up. The troubadours, come on up. Members of NYLA and the clergy to join us in singing this song. And as for the rest of you, I would love for us to make a big old circle in this room and join hands crisscross as we sing We Shall Overcome. So let's make a huge circle if you can around the room. And we're going to sing 2 verses. You can do it. I believe in you. Looking good. There's still the back of the room. Let's make that circle. We can make it.